Hi, good morning, everybody. We'll call this meeting to order. We've got the approval of the agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
I'll second.
Those in favor?
Aye.
Minutes of the May 19th and 21st board meetings.
Make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Those in favor?
Aye.
All right, public hearing regarding 25-2045 Waffle County Comprehensive Plan. It's quite thick. Lots of colors.
I'll make a motion to open the public hearing.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
I have no written comments.
I don't care.
And I know MSA is here to present, so. Miranda, do you want
I think they're trying to get it
to work?
working.
Oh, we went too fast for him? It's state equipment. Didn't pay the cable bill. No pressure, Andy.
Yeah.
Sure, that's not identified display.
So, how about you?
That, well, it's just viewing where it doesn't show you for,
Yes.
There you go.
Thank you.
All right. Floor is yours. Your mic's just pushed on so the red light comes on there.
Push it. There you go. It's on.
Good morning.
My name is Jenna. I'm with MSA Professional Services, and I don't know if you want to introduce yourself.
Hi again, I'm Sarah Runkle. I'm a project manager with MSA Professional Services, and we're here to present the comprehensive plan to you. I'll let Jenna go through the highlights, and then if you have any questions, we're here to answer those.
All right, so just a general overview about what is a comprehensive plan. It's a general plan that typically lasts 20 or so years about the future of a municipality, in this case, Wapello County. It established a shared vision for the community and providing a framework for growth, development, and overall changes, as well as some general goals with numerous aspects, which we'll discuss later. And another component of this is after the comprehensive plan, typically a community has a zoning ordinance that is the regulatory document in which implements the comprehensive plan and guides land use. The benefits of comprehensive planning generally are that, again, it guides growth, informs decisions, promotes sustainability, enhances quality of life, protects resources, encourages economic development, and ensures consistency, as a county would review it annually, ideally, and when making land use decisions, make sure you have the overall vision of the comprehensive plan in mind. All right, so Planning 101, Chapter 335 of Iowa Code grants counties the authority to establish zoning regulations for unincorporated areas, and it is the general purpose of zoning to promote public health, welfare, and safety. And according to the comprehensive plan, before adopting zoning ordinances, counties must develop a comprehensive plan that provides a framework for those decisions. And there's also this section of Iowa Code that has Iowa Smart Planning Principles, which there's, I think, 12 elements here that are just kind of a guidance of what a community should have in their comprehensive plan. And you can read through those Iowa Code section 18B1. All right, so in general, this is kind of a summarized timeline. So with this project, we had 4 elements, which were engagement and visioning, existing conditions analysis, plan development, and then after that, we are also working toward the zoning and subdivision ordinance update recommendations. We kicked this off back in January of last year, so we've been working on this for over a year and a half. We've had numerous public meetings, stakeholder committee meetings, stakeholder interviews, plenty of community engagement tools or activities. And so we met with the Zoning Commission back on May 11th for the public hearing and recommendation. And then we're here today with the Board of Supervisors to review and adopt the comprehensive plan with resolution, by resolution. All right, so community engagement summary. As mentioned before, we did a community survey, which was open. We actually opened it from May 2025 and closed it this January. It included some general questions to get to know the participant, how long they've lived here, and aspects of the county they appreciate, things they would like to change. And then we also did a SWOT analysis in there, which identifies strengths, opportunities, weaknesses, and threats. We had about 45 responses. We promoted that through a flyer around the town, Ottumwa, as well as I think shared it with all the cities within the county as well to help them promote it, and on the website. We also had a project website, which I forgot to put that in this PowerPoint, but it's mentioned in the plan. Another aspect was the crowdsourced map, which we opened around the same time frame. And in general, I kind of summarized the crowdsourced map summary, as well as the mapping activities we did into one in the plan. But ideally, we wanted people to identify areas primed for growth, potential nodes for commercial or industrial or residential developments, areas of the county that we should preserve with natural resources, farmland, and just the general protection of rural character, and really anything else that people wanted to know. Stakeholder interviews. So we had, gosh, I don't know, like 10 people on our steering committee, which included members of the county as well as representatives from the city of Ottumwa and I believe some regional representatives as well. And we had 4 meetings throughout the course of the year or so with, with each one we focused on something different. So we did introductions and kind of the visioning of the document in the first meeting, and then dove into the community engagement and land use mapping ideas and plan outline. Then we reviewed the existing conditions and all the data and the implementation matrix, which will have the goals, action items. And then we met March 3rd about, just the final plan edits. And then, as mentioned earlier, we have several mapping exercises which entail existing and future land use desired development patterns, as well as the SWOT analysis, which kind of summarizes people's perspectives on whether there's opportunities for something and external threats, which kind of go hand in hand, strengths and opportunities, weaknesses and threats. And then also stakeholder interviews. We reached out to numerous stakeholders, and we actually ended up conducting only around 6 with the one-on-one anonymous online interviews. And we, like the steering committee, tried to make sure we reached out to as many people as possible within the cities, the educational institutions, and other organizations. And then in terms of public workshops, we met first with the public on May 13th, and we had around 15 attendees. And then we had our second public meeting, around March 3rd, and it had probably around the same number of attendees, but showcasing here just the draft plan and some highlights of the future land use map and implementation matrix. So general table of contents. This is kind of a typical comprehensive plan outline where we talk about the introduction overview, as kind of mentioned here earlier, the county profile, which is the history and background, existing conditions, and then projections, in which we look at, the Ottumwa as the cap. Why can't I think of the word? Not capital. County seat. Sorry. And so we made sure to look at future population projections for Ottumwa and the county as a whole, and kind of what trade-offs have occurred in the past and could potentially occur in the future. And then with the community engagement, as discussed earlier, you can read more about it in the plan, just some of the general findings from each tool. And then the main elements which align with the Iowa Code are these several chapters, which is county character, community facilities and services, agricultural and natural resources, parks and recreation / conservation, sustainability and resiliency, land use and growth management, economic development, housing, transportation, and intergovernmental collaboration. And then kind of the something that communities use more on a day-to-day or annual basis is the implementation matrix, which includes the goals, action items, timeline, partners to implement those action items, and other things. And then we also have appendices, which contains some of the full other details that one might want to read at the back of the plan. Going into the future land use map, we divided it into several future land use categories, which are just kind of a guiding, it's not permanent like a zoning map. It just shows what the potential desired future land use of certain areas in the county may be. In terms of those categories, we had, let me see, I think we had 9, starting with the agricultural preservation in natural areas. We also did an agricultural residential transition area, kind of in between the two of the ag preservation. And then we also did a low density residential estates, which is like a kind of the outskirts of the city, a low density, large estate, detached family, single family subdivision development. We also did the high density planned residential, which I know this looks like a really detailed description, but essentially matches up with the zoning map of the areas where Wapello County incorporates or enforces zoning for the incorporated cities within the county. So it won't necessarily be high density as you'd think of in a city, but just more dense town-like development. And then parks, recreation, conservation, public and institutional, commercial, industrial flex, giving a little bit of flexibility there, and then the heavy industrial. All right. Excuse me. Going into the implementation matrix, we had a timeline in there with the action items. So just to provide an overview, each element of the matrix, each element of the comprehensive plan is divided into goals, strategies, and action items. And you can read more about it in the plan, but it looks like this for each element of the plan. And we identify a short-term, long-term, or ongoing timeline for it, as well as partners, funding opportunities, kind of in the full matrix itself. That's just a little bit of overview of what each section will entail. But I know this is just kind of a brief overview of the plan, and we can also pull up the actual document itself if there are any questions or comments, but we know that we didn't have much time to present and we don't want to go through every page of the plan. So that was just a brief overview. And if anyone has any questions, Sarah and I are here, and here's some of our other colleagues who helped work on the plan. Thank you.
Miranda?
I wanted to thank the steering committee and all the stakeholders interviews that we had. That was very helpful to help guide our plan. As you remember, our last comprehensive plan was done in 1991. So it was very old. So adopting this new comprehensive plan will kind of guide us for the next 20 years and what we want to see with Wapello County. So as I said, we met on May 11th with the zoning commission, and they are recommending approval for the comprehensive plan.
And we have to start preparing for the next one in 15 years, right?
Sure, yes. I would not want it to be lapsed like it was this time. So
Every 20 years it's supposed to be redone.
yes.
And Miranda, could I ask you, at the zoning meeting that approved this, was there discussion, and can you give us any highlights of that discussion?
Like I said, a couple of the members that were on our zoning commission were also on the steering committee, so that was very helpful for. I know Willeen, she served on both of our committees, and she was able to talk to the commission and update them of some of the concerns that we worked through with the other steering committee members. And it was nice to be able to do that. And like I said, I wish we could have had more public engagement, getting people to come. But I was very thankful for the members that did show up from the public.
Thank you.
Any other discussion?
I would like to make a few comments about it before we proceed. Any kind of plan like this is kind of interesting because it never can match perfectly with like my goals or what I would like to see. But I think overall that the plan is very appropriate for where we're at. And I like the comment that it's a dynamic plan, meaning that it can be adjusted as we move forward. And yet there's a need for a plan today to move forward. So I like that balance and that approach that we can change as we move along. In the plan, it requires some things of the Board of Supervisors, and I like that. I don't mind that. I hope we can deliver on that, and I would like to remind us as a Board of Supervisors that we should be held accountable to the plan that we commit to. So that is part of it. I also would want to mention that a plan like this and the zoning that results needs to be, in my opinion, always in balance with property rights. And I think that's a fundamental concept of our country and of a democracy, a free enterprise system. And so I'm always sensitive to make sure that it aligns with that position of freedom of property owners to do what they want to with their property. So, but I feel like we've achieved a balance in this situation. So, thank you.
Anybody else? No verbal comments? Motion to close public hearing?
I'll make it.
I'll second.
Those in favor?
Aye.
Approve resolution number 21-2026.
I'm gonna make a motion to approve.
And I'll second.
Those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, ladies.
Thank you, ladies.
Public hearing regarding the final plat for Riedels Acres subdivision. Motion to open the public hearing.
I'll move to open the public hearing.
I'll second.
Those in favor?
Aye.
Written or verbal comments?
There are no written or verbal comments for this. This is a one lot subdivision out on Cookland Road. Shane Rube is this piece of property is split by the road, and he is selling east of the road to Mr. Riedel. It's approximately 8.4 acres of ground. Mr. Riedel owns just to the north of that. And Shane Rube plans on keeping the rest of the ground, which is west of Cookland Road.
Okay. Any comment from anybody here? Motion to close public hearing.
I'll make it.
And second.
Those in favor?
Aye.
Approve resolution 22-2026.
I'll move to approve the resolution.
I'll second.
Those in favor?
Aye.
28E agreement with the city of Eldon for patrol services.
I'll make a motion to approve.
And I'll second.
Those in favor?
Aye.
28E agreement with the city of Kirkville for patrol services.
I'll make a motion to approve.
And I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
28E agreement with the city of Blacksburg for patrol services.
I'll make a motion to approve.
And I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Audit agreement with Anderson, Larkin and Company, PC for fiscal year 25-26. They attached a fee for any extras.
Yes, and I do have a list. Quite a list. So maybe we can sit down sometime and go through this list prior to the audit being done.
Yep, he said we can just schedule it with him and it's just show him what else we want to do, so.
And that resolves the issues that you had here
Yes.
with the
Yeah.
audit earlier. Okay.
Yep.
So I'll motion to approve it.
I'll make a motion to approve the audit agreement.
You'll second it?
Oh, second.
Okay.
Did you approve?
Yeah.
Okay.
All those in favor?
Aye.
ISAC HIPAA program renewal.
I'll make a motion to approve.
And I'll second.
Those in favor?
Aye.
63 South BP tobacco license.
I'll make a motion to approve the license.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Eldon Uptown Downtown tax abated property request at 411 West Elm Street in Eldon. Right, come on up and. Yes, yep, sit there and then just tap the on off button there on the mics and state your names and we'll let you present here. Yeah, got one on, one off. Nope, yeah, that was off yet. One more. Chad probably get for you. He's professional. Thanks, Chad. All right,
Jeffrey, I'm the treasurer of Eldon Uptown Downtown.
And I'm Joan Miller, and I'm just a member of the committee.
And we are here to,
can you pull that a little closer to you there? All right, thank you.
we are here to request that the 2025, 26 taxes on property that we own be abated.
This is part of the revitalization projects for Eldon.
Yes.
Right. And what are you planning with the building?
Well, just to restore the building. It's unusable right now.
Unusable.
And we whatever we can find that will fit the building.
Yeah, I think I just checked out the taxes are all up to date currently, right?
Mm.
Taxes are due on the property for this year. Keep it in mind, if you rent this out or do anything in the future, the abatement will have to collect taxes on it then, so,
Yeah, we know, we're aware of that.
okay. Some people aren't, so I want to make sure you go ahead of time, so.
Yeah.
Any other questions on the property?
We just received a notice that they are the taxes are passing.
Has to, yes.
You got something, Travis?
So I did speak with them. They stopped in the office before they came up. They did turn in a tax exemption form for us to look at for, next year. The two properties, one or two that they have currently that are exempted, we discussed, and they're being rented out, so they know that those are gonna be probably coming off of exemption next year and be taxable, so they're very aware of how that kind of works and have been very open with us about what they're doing with them. So, I would say for this property, with it being unusable and them restoring it, I'm probably gonna allow the exemption while they're doing that. And then once they get to the point that they can rent it out, it'll be pulled from the property. So, and we discussed that.
All right, thank you. You have anything else to add?
No, I don't.
Okay.
Good stuff.
All right, well, we have a motion for tax abatement on the property.
I'll make a motion to do the tax abatement.
I'll second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, ladies.
Thank you.
Accept that resignation letter of Carrie Nicely from the Gothic House. It'd be effective June 30th. Turn that into Conservation Board, so.
I want to make a motion to accept the resignation letter, but I want to make a comment too with that motion. I was a little disappointed that this took place like it did. On the other hand, I'm very pleased with the material that she developed for us to move forward, and the work of the Conservation Board on that behalf too, to move forward. So that's my motion though, is to accept the resignation.
I'll second that resignation letter. With that being said, the budget she submitted with this letter is not gonna work. The budget's already been approved. So she took money from the supplemental fund into the general basic. The bottom line is still the same.
Yeah, the bottom line is still saying we can't transfer from
Can't
supplemental.
transfer from one fund to the other.
We have a motion and a second to accept the resignation letter, and we'll just have to go over the budget later with Rick, so.
Yeah, that is correct. This, does not include that budget discussion, so it's fine.
Correct.
Yeah.
All those in favor of the resignation?
Aye.
Renewable energy ordinance. Wind, solar, and battery. We've had this on the agenda a few times. We need to get it to a public hearing so we can have public input on it. I will motion to get that going. To set first public hearing date in 2 weeks.
And I will not second the motion. My issue is still, as it has been in the past, that the statement has been made that we will not have wind turbines in Wapello County. And yet this ordinance allows at least 14 wind turbines if you do the math based upon what's in the ordinance. And the ordinance does not allow basically any solar or any battery storage. And so that whole ordinance is unacceptable in my opinion as it stands, we would need to work on the ordinance before we can take it to a public hearing.
Well, we're never gonna have 85 wind turbines like you want. We're not gonna have 15,000 acres of solar either, so.
I wish you would stop saying that because I have never said that that is what I want.
I believe you turned in the paper and I got it right here.
I did not say that's what I want. I said that is the maximum allowable.
You go out in public and tell people, I want wind, when I'm the only one that's been opposed to it. You've been for it the whole time. Says here you wanted 50 the very first presentation. Now you want 85. Ain't that your paper?
You misunderstand that entirely. I do not say what I want. I said what I would allow in the ordinance.
I know you've had many private meetings, so.
Stop accusing me of that. That's not true. It's never been true.
All right, so we have a motion with a no second. If we don't have that, we're gonna have to have a moratorium until we can come to resolution, because you wanted to have meetings and not once have you contacted me with any meeting, so. I set up several meetings.
Last time I requested a work session and you ignored that statement. We have a member in the audience that would like to speak.
I'm sure we got a few that want to speak, so. If anybody would like to come up and voice their opinion, go right ahead. You state your name, and then go for it.
Good morning, Mark Rowe, Executive Director at Greater Tummel Partners in Progress. Didn't realize I was walking into this type of meeting, but here we are. So I thought the meeting started off really well today with the vote for the comprehensive plan. One of the components of that plan was to encourage economic development, and what is on the agenda today for this ordinance, I fear is getting us off to a rocky start on that economic development moving forward. And the reason that I say that is Greater Tummel Partners in Progress and its board of directors, I think it was late last year, sent a letter to the Board of Supervisors in support of the clean energy ordinance as it stood at the time. And I'm concerned because it seems as though there's been one component to that has been added in very short order, which is data storage. And that is largely a problem in Wapello County. And I understand that this is a problem in other counties within the state of Iowa, and it has been something that has been a concern in some counties that it has been defeated. Some counties it has been accepted, and the variables behind the acceptance and defeat of those ordinances have been varied across the state of Iowa for whatever reason, be it water, be it electrical grid infrastructure, whatever the case may be. However, the problem that I see here in Wapello County is largely economic development. The state and local partners have been left out of the conversation as it relates to data centers and the infrastructure behind any decision to bring data centers into Wapello County. I want to be really clear, however, there is no conversation at this point for data centers in Wapello County. However, again, going back to the beginning of this meeting when we were talking about the comprehensive planning, it would be a shame to not do our due diligence on the front end for those conversations and then put Wapello County behind 4, 5, even 10 years, not only on the advent of data centers in Wapello County, but moreover, the electrical grid, the natural gas grid that's coming into Wapello County as a result from the benefits of a data center. To give you an example of what our electrical grid looks like in Ottumwa right now, arguably one of the heaviest use cases for electrical is the business park out toward the north side of town. As it stands currently, there's less than 1 megawatt available electric for any new business to come in there. Anybody who knows electric knows that's almost nothing as it pertains to that. And Alliant Energy can't build speculative power. So what that means is, unless there's a user that comes in that has the money to pay for that electrical grid, we won't get a high electric user in this area. And that's going to cost millions of dollars. There's no illusion that it won't. Even though ITC is building a 345 kilovolt line less than 3 miles away from it, there's still a heavy cost to bear to get it that 3 miles from that line to the industrial park. So it's going to take somebody with deep pockets to be able to build that grid if we want to do it before 2029, 2030. So my concern here is, again, we are talking about a moratorium on something that wasn't even part of the conversation even 2 weeks ago, to at least to the best of my knowledge with conversations that I've had with each one of you supervisors. So I'm a little bit concerned that this has been added to the conversation without any conversation with the Economic Development Office, without conversations with our utility partners, with Alliant Energy, who as recently as 8 p.m. last night has assured me that if we as a community want to have a conversation, they're willing to come down and have that conversation with us as to what the future of electricity looks like. And we haven't had the state partners, be it our legislators or economic development offices at the table, to have a conversation about what the future electrical natural gas grid looks like here. So I think that, you know, if we want to have the conversation, let's do that. But placing a moratorium on it, I think, is very dangerous territory for us to go down, because it's going to force people to walk away from Wapello County. And we have been working for over 1.5 years at this point, as all of you are well aware. And we have had those state and local partners walk away from us, come back to the table, walk away from us, come back to the table. They are at the table right now, and they're having conversations with us probably to a deeper extent than they've ever had with us before. And I fear that if a moratorium is placed on data centers, it's going to have far broader implications than just data centers. So I would encourage you to really think hard about the word moratorium and data centers, because that's going to affect literally the rest of the comprehensive plan that you guys voted on today. And it will, just by virtue of what it's going to do to the electrical and natural gas grids of Wapello County, it's going to negatively affect the rest of the comprehensive planning as it stands.
Are you suggesting that it might be wise for us to have a meeting with Alliant so that that is communicated more directly?
I would highly encourage that.
And I would be willing to engage in that for sure.
I got told you,
Mark.
yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Mark.
Anybody else? There you go, Tom.
Tom Lockett, 2301 North Court here in Tacoma. I've been following this ever since it became an issue, and I think it's time to make a decision. I agree with Mr. Rowe that we should not have a moratorium. I think as an individual citizen, I was interested in solar and have gone ahead and installed solar on my own personal property, and feel like I'm kind of in limbo because I don't know if there's any requirements or rules and regulations that I'm either in compliance or not in compliance with. I think the original ordinance that I read, done by MSA, was very adequate and gave us a good starting point. I think the thing that I liked about it was that you did have the option as board of supervisors to make amendments or adjustments to it if we got into it and found something that we didn't expect. I think if we're looking.
Can you speak up? I can't hear you in the back. Sorry.
I think it's time to make a decision and it's something that's going to be here for the future. And if we want to be progressive and encourage uh, industrial development as well as economic development, we're going to have the alternative energy ordinance in place. Otherwise, people won't even look at Wapello County. So I would encourage you to, as board of supervisors, get your act together, make a decision one way or the other and get it off the table. It's been over a year. I've gone to most of the meetings that have been held publicly, and I think the overwhelming sentiment that I pick up is very positive. And whenever you make public policy, you're never going to get a policy that's perfect and everybody's going to get everything they want. So come up with the best that we can at the time, build into it the ability to adjust it or change it as we get some experience. But let's move forward. Let's not go backwards. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Yeah. Before we're closed, Tom, just, you can see that. Here's the emails we've received. 5-to-1 ratio against. Do not want.
What, the whole thing or for solar?
For wind and solar. Nobody's voting on battery, nobody knows what battery is. And the data centers only come about because of what's going on in Jefferson County. Yeah, Miranda talked to me about that, so we don't have to include data centers on it, because I know we've talked about it several times, that looking to get one here in Ottumwa, so. But it just takes a lot more power than we got.
So I had a question about that, Darren. I was going to bring that up, kind of to piggyback off what Mark had said. You know, with what is happening in Jefferson County, they're having joint meetings with the city and their county board of supervisors. I don't know if anything is imminent as far as them building anything, but when you look at it from this county's perspective, is that something that this county needs to start doing? You know, kind of preemptively having these discussions jointly, you know, with the city of Ottumwa or with the, you know, the smaller communities in the county, as well as the supervisors, to kind of map out what that might look like. Because, you know, obviously these data centers are pretty controversial in the fact that you've seen what they've done to water. They use a lot of, you know, high rate of electricity that's been mentioned. Do those conversations need to happen now, do you think, with this county before, like Mark said, you know, you get way too far down the line?
Yeah, I think that's the only reason the moratorium was listed, is to give us an opportunity to have those discussions. Because we haven't had a group discussion with it at all. I know it's just been one-on-one basically.
So how long would a moratorium be? 6 months, a year? What? I don't.
Typically a year, but I believe you can open anytime. Miranda's still here.
Yeah. I mean, you can set a moratorium, but you can always rescind that if you complete the project ahead of time. I know, am I speaking correctly? I know we've done that in other projects. So even though it is set for a year and you get it done in 3 months, that is something that the Board of Supervisors can then rescind that moratorium. They're able to complete it ahead of time.
Just gives us an opportunity, but no pressure to get done.
So is there a general feeling one way or the other on a data center being here, or does there need to be more, you know, exploration and see what the positives and negatives are?
I think there's gonna be a lot more exploration, but because I don't think we really even touched on it.
Do you have something else, Mark?
So to answer that question, yes, there has been interest in Wapello County for data centers for more than a year now. And the reason for that is multiple. Number one, we have arguably one of the best feeder programs for virtually every occupation within inside of a data center, arguably in the Midwest region with Indian Hills Community College. We have the network administrators, we have the programmers, we have anything computer tech related we have coming out of Indian Hills. We also have an aviation technology program out at Indian Hills, which strikingly enough, are the exact people that they hire for the cooling systems at data centers. So we have the feeder program that keeps those people here locally instead of transporting them to some other major city within the country. So that's one component. One of the other advantages that Wapello County has over most of the areas that are complaining about data centers is the water usage. And Atumwa is very fortunate in comparison to a lot of areas in Iowa. And this is from Tim Albert. This isn't from me, so feel free to verify. We're one of the few communities in the state of Iowa that can actually handle the water capacity of a data center. So water, where it might be an issue in some place like Palo Alto or Cedar Rapids, it's not an issue in Atumwa. So we have a lot of the things that are necessary for a data center. However, again, I would stress these data centers, especially the big five, they're making decisions right now, and that's the way they move. They move very quickly. They find an area that they want to be in, and they make decisions, and they start working with utility partners to bring in the electrical grid to make it happen. And that's really important because when they're paying for that electrical grid, that means that doesn't transcend to the ultimate consumer, and they don't have to pay the cost of that grid upgrade. They get all of the benefits of the grid upgrade, but they don't pay any of the cost for it. And because of the way we're situated in the state of Iowa, the ultimate rate per consumer for electrical would actually go down if we had one of those data centers here, because that infrastructure would be upgraded and paid for by somebody that's not the end user. So there's really no downside to a data center here. Again, there's nobody at the table right now that have been in the past, and because we didn't have people at the table at the right times, we lost those data centers. We've had two of them at the table, and they both walked away because the right people weren't at the table. Now we have the right people at the table, but what the fear is, if there's a moratorium, it doesn't matter that it's 1 month or 1 year or 2 years. It doesn't matter. If they come and look at an area and go, oh, there's a moratorium there, they're just walking away. They're not going to have a conversation of how quick can you guys get this moratorium lifted. They're going to say, you have a moratorium, we're out.
Mark, can you address the issue of how many jobs would be created with the data center?
It truly
Approximate.
depends. It truly depends on the size of the data center. Are we talking about 500 employees? Absolutely not. Anybody who would tell you that would be lying to you. You're probably looking somewhere in the neighborhood of 50 to 200 jobs, depending on the size of the facility. What is important to note, though, is looking at these data centers, most of them haven't asked a single thing from the local municipalities, most of them. They're just going in and doing the upgrades themselves that they need to have done. That's number one. Number two, that those jobs that are coming in, they're not $20 an hour jobs. They're $150,000. They're $150,000 a year jobs. So while that number isn't high of jobs, the number or the quality of those jobs is high. And again, we're losing right now all of those people that could potentially be coming to those. We're losing them to other communities, and that doesn't even count the 3 to 5 years worth of construction jobs that are generally very high paying that currently we're losing. Talking to IBEW, for example, we're losing a lot of those electricians to go and work for 3 to 5 years at other plants, like at Palo Alto, Cedar Rapids, Chicago. They're going there because they can make a ton of money there. We're losing all of the skilled trades to other areas, and this is something that we could keep at home.
I would sure like to continue to pursue this, and if we need to do a joint meeting with City of Atumwa, that would be excellent.
Andy?
Yeah, so the data center discussion's in my wheelhouse, and as an instructor of Indian Hills, I know about the jobs and stuff that are employed for those data centers. Is that better?
That's better.
So anyway, with the jobs, so data centers typically employ, like the ones around the Wayne Norwalk area, they'll employ roughly around 25 to 35, maybe 40 people. So they work on a very skeleton crew. And the higher salary people are the ones that are just the managers, and you're looking at 2 to 3 individuals that will have those types of pay. I can tell you from experience of placing students in those data centers, they make around 40 to 48,000 a year starting out, and move up into around the 60 to 70 range after about 3 or 4 years. So you're not going to play a large base of that. With regard to the data centers also, those companies will contract with Alliant or whoever's going to bring the power in to set up their own electrical substation. If you look at those data centers, they have their own entire electrical substation built on their grounds. So that's something that they do on their own connection with that. There still needs to be some sort of power to deliver that, but they have their own substations at their disposal for that sort of stuff. One question I would have with the wind energy or whatever ordinance is, with those things that are proposed, how much of that energy does Wapello County get to use? Or does it get shipped out on their state lines for other states and stuff to use? I mean, do we really benefit electrically from that, or is it just infrastructurally and tax base wise? Just a question on that.
Yeah, it's just infrastructure. The one we looked at in Grundy Center, it burnt down, right, Miranda? The data center we went and looked at in Grundy County, that Quonset hut,
The Bitcoin.
they were hooked directly up to the substation, right next to it. And I know they use more power, they said, than the whole city of Grundy Center. So they do use a ton of power. I don't know how much water they use, but I don't know how that would affect Cargill either, because they drain a lot of water up there too, so.
I would take a position that I would not be in favor of a moratorium on any of these topics at this point. I would still like to move forward with a ordinance on the topic of renewable energy.
We just had that opportunity.
So we have not developed the ordinance that can move forward to the public hearing, and you and I can do that in a work session. We can schedule that as you
Name
name.
one time you've given anything. I've changed all kinds of stuff. You, nothing.
We need to schedule a work session if we're
And
going
we
to.
scheduled them. You sat there and did nothing. You say, I just want to go with it as is. That's the problem, is you don't want to do anything.
Stop it.
I'm not gonna stop it because I'm tired of being quiet.
Mind if I have a second, Darren?
You can have a second, yes, fire away. There, no, you can be quiet,
Can
so.
you help me?
You're on.
You're on. All right, thank you very much. You know, Don Phillips, Wapello County Sheriff. You know, I've sat through these things, listened to, you guys have discussions about this. And I just want to speak to you from it as a department head and what's going on at the sheriff's office. Some people may not realize this, but we're looking to expand the jail. You know, last summer we had 57 inmates farmed out to other counties at expense to Wapello County of almost 700,000. You know, we're looking to expand the jail. I don't know if it'll be on the ballot come this November, but it's something that we're looking at. And we have to come up with the money to employ people in there and still provide a service to the residents of Wapello County. And I guess I'd ask for you to, for the 3 of you or the 2 of you, whoever it is, to sit down, have a conversation about this and figure this out. You know, if you have to have somebody come in and mediate it and have a conversation, just let me know when it is. I'll come in and sit down with you, 2 of you, because I understand, I guess, Ms. Kennedy is not participating in this, but, you know, I think, whether it's wind or solar or data centers or whatever the case might be, I think this county needs to take a hard look at this and give it some heavy consideration, because I don't think it's going to be hard, you know, to come up as you guys all know, with the taxes that, the tax bill that's been passed, or I don't know if she signed it yet, but
She signed it.
did she?
So, I'm just astonished that we're sitting here arguing before the public and not figuring this out, instead of, I guess I look at it, Mr. Ziegler's asking to sit down and have a conversation. Let's sit down and do it. Come on, folks.
Have we
I mean,
done it?
this is a serious issue that's before us because, we're gonna have to employ some people in a new jail. It don't do us any good to build it if we can't employ people in there. And we all sat there and went through the budgets this year, and we know how difficult it was to come up with one. And you guys all know as well as I do, it's gonna be even harder next year. Yeah, this money may not be on the books 5 to 10 years from now, but, this ain't something that's, gonna get easier for us, and it certainly isn't getting easier today with what, listening to you argue about where it's going. I was part of the steering committee with MSA and sitting there doing it, I think I only met 2 of the 4 meetings, but there's people that put an effort into it to try and come up with this plan and move forward with, Wapello County, and I think, we're not moving forward when this isn't going anywhere. So that's just my 2 cents.
Thank you, Don.
Anybody else?
Hope that doesn't add 10 pounds, they said.
Can't guarantee it. You're on. Oh, no, you're off.
I'm on.
Now you're
Am I on?
Yep.
Okay. My name is Denise Spring, and I have a few questions. What do they do with the blades when they wear out?
Pile them up.
Where were they piled them up at?
Depends on what the ordinance says.
So have you ever looked at Sweetwater, Texas? They have this in Sweetwater, Texas, and they're known as the blade capital of the world because they came and decided it was okay to put these in. And when they went bad, they piled them all up and they're a nightmare. And you have a lot of people down there that aren't happy. So is that going to happen in Wapello County? And the question is, how much is Wapello County going to get? How much energy are we going to get?
Energy, none.
None, okay. So where is this all going to go to?
Wait a second. The energy does not matter where it goes, whether it stays or goes. What matters is the energy produced in Wapello County generates revenue for Wapello County, for the landowners that have the turbines, and for the county in tax revenue.
Okay, what about beautifying? You want the Clean Air Act, the beautifying of our farms. When they're gone, and they will be gone in 10 years or 15 years, we're gonna look at them.
From a property rights standpoint, you do not own the view over your neighbor's property.
I own the view of my property.
That's
and if
correct.
it's on my property, I will be seeing that, yes.
The wind turbine will not be on your property unless you want it to be on your property.
Okay. Well, maybe look up Sweetwater, Texas, and see what you think.
We can sure do that.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? All right. We'll move on to. Oh.
Going nice over. I feel all my life you got to talk in front of people, but
There you go. There it is.
this is really bad for our community. And how much tax revenue does the county actually get off of these things? Do they get it like they start building this, so right away they're gonna get tax revenue from it? Or is it gonna take 10 years after these things are busted before they get a chance to borrow from it? And I agree with Don, despite running a decision on this deal, one way or another. We just need to, I would think, just do away with it, forget about them.
Thank you. Anybody else? We'll move on to Dawn then. Personnel request for payroll approval, new hire.
Just a vacancy that we're filling.
In the jail or?
Yes.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Those in favor?
Aye.
Any other business go before the board?
And I certainly would be interested in taking up Don's offer to do the discussion. I'm not sure if Don should be the one that does the meeting, but he offered. I would like to agree to that.
Don be a fine mediator. I've seen mediate.
And I think the value of that is that we could move a little bit forward just by discussing it. I think that's the idea. I'm not sure we're going to solve it in a meeting, but why not attempt to work together as a community?
That was the whole point of my comment. Let's figure it out and move on.
Now Travis has a comment.
I think Travis would be very good at
I
it.
do. Well, okay. Thanks, Don. I'm just gonna say with what Don said, if you guys do have a work session, you wanna sit down and talk about things, I'm willing to come to that if I have information that the two of you need to make some headway on a decision. I don't think any of us that work for the county would be unwilling to be there to give that information out, if it's gonna be helpful. As far as his questions, I don't remember your name, I'm sorry. I've talked about this before on the tax side of it. They're assessed at 30% of acquisition costs. So that is a number that the wind turbine, they give us their number of acquisition cost. It's assessed at 30% of that. The assessment does not start until they are turned on. So there's no assessment towards that as they're being built. Once they're turned on, it's a 7-year roll on. So it's 0% that first year, then 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, until you get to that 30% of acquisition cost. With the new tax law that was signed, it's not easy to explain, and I don't know that I necessarily have all the answers, but the way that it seems to me that it's going to be the general fund for the board of supervisors and the city budgets is going to be capped at a 2% growth plus new construction. So new construction is something that I define in my job. But it appears that the new law has left wind or left solar, wind, and maybe even data centers, and then anything urban revite related off of new construction. So I don't know how that's going to work. We would define that as new construction when we put it on, but it's under that umbrella that value is not taxable. So I don't know how we add that to, I don't know how that's all going to work in the end. If any of that's going to be able to be realized in an increase in budget, right? The money would be there as a whole, but the budget may not be able to increase enough to hold that, I guess. But that's all stuff that we're waiting for the state to define how that's all going to work. So would they help? Absolutely, they would help in the end. Where does that money allowed to go as far as growth? I have no idea. Okay. If you have questions about that stuff, you're more than welcome to stop in the office. I can talk to you about it. Instead of doing it here, it's hard to explain when you're not involved in it all the time. But back to my point, if you guys want to have a conversation, if you think you need information from me that's going to help you move forward with anything, I'm more than happy to come and sit with Don and whoever else you feel like needs to be there to make progress. And yeah, that's my stance on it, I guess.
Thank you. And I want to remind everybody too you know, Darren and I cannot talk about this privately. We have to do it in an open meeting according to Iowa code. And so that's fine, but we need to do it that way. And my proposal might be, okay, let's schedule something right now, or perhaps put it on the agenda for next time to schedule a time to meet. Those two options would be fine with me.
I think Darren suggested that you set a meeting for 2 weeks.
Yeah, for the ordinance, but
Well, discussion, I mean,
Mhm.
everything in there. Right?
yep, it would have to be listed as an open work session, so.
Yeah, what Darren suggested was a public hearing. I'm not,
You guys have to get together and decide what.
yes, that's
do
true.
that.
Yeah.
Exactly.
He's offered to do that. I don't see where the problem is.
He offered the public hearing. up.
Let's just set a meeting. Let's set it right now. I'm here, your guys are here, let's go. Let's set it.
I would agree with that.
I got no problem, man.
I've got my schedule.
Tuesday looks wonderful.
Let's see, yeah, that'll work.
Right, he's got a meeting at 9:30
Yeah.
here.
Cool.
It's the canvas for the election
Oh,
at 9:30.
well, we can do the open meeting afterwards, 10 o'clock.
Yeah, we can do both because the canvas usually just takes
Yeah.
20 minutes or 15 minutes. So that'd be appropriate.
Sounds good.
Is this open to the public there?
Yes.
Yes.
Yep, open meeting, yep.
Yep. And I think we could have a guideline that we just don't have public discussion, but I'm okay with public discussion.
Yeah, we'll just hold off public input till the end.
We could do that, yeah.
Can you clarify exactly the date and time of this meeting for that's open? We were talking about the.
A week from today at 10 o'clock.
Yeah, June 9th.
9th.
Just right here.
Yep.
I'll have to make sure that.
We'll have to make sure this room's open, but. Well, we just,
What's that?
yeah.
But yeah, but if
Just
it's not,
plan
we'll
on
find a
walking,
room.
really.
Yeah, yeah.
Probably better if we just plan on using the Walpole building for both. Cause we never know what court's scheduled. There's something else done.
Yeah, I sent you, an email from, for a meeting on the 29th. One of you, if you could attend, it's, meeting with the DOT and, I sent it to city administrator as well as city engineer. It's referenced, we move forward with the jail expansion. We would, see about obtaining the property across the street from the law center for visitor parking at the law center. So there's a meeting on the 29th at 10 o'clock that I've asked one of you to be a part of. So.
I thought we already had that property.
No, that's the one on Main Street. This would be across, Second Street to the north. It's, along the street there that comes down from Walgreens, that piece of property there.
Oh, the undeveloped side?
Yes, there's we're looking at a section that, in the DOT, seeing if they can just deed it over to us or lease it to us. But they just want to have conversation. Because I think the reason the city was asked to participate is there's a drainage portion that comes down that drains right there. So we just want to make sure everybody's on the same page. And everybody's okay with it.
Yep, that's no problem.
So just wanted, if you can let me know, I'll send out the invite. I think that, the county engineer had sent me an email and said he need to do it by Zoom, but he'd be available that day. So we'll probably try to set up a Zoom, but we can hold it, at our conference at the sheriff's office. And I'll send that out to whichever one of you.
I can do it if you want me to.
Okay,
That's fine.
That's fine with me.
all right. So I'll get that sent out and Gary,
Okay, thank you.
thanks.
Nothing else? Motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.